Venezuela es un país en Sudamérica, que es un país que Venezuela is a country in South America that has a lot of natural resources. Some of the natural resources that it has is the oil or petroleum, but the most impressive natural resource that it has, it's its natural beauty, the flora and the fauna, if you will. One of the most beautiful zones in Venezuela is a zone that they call the Llanos, or the plains of Venezuela. And in those plains, there's a place called the state of Apure. And there in that zone, with those rivers and that fishery, it seems to me lies Venezuela's greatest natural resources. What we would do is we would wake up at 6:30 in the morning, and then we'd have breakfast, and then we'd start organizing the boats, which in itself was kind of an ordeal because, you're in such a remote place. You have to take the batteries and get them charged from the generator and then carry the batteries to the boat and then load the boat onto the truck and take off, and we'd drive over, this terrain that was pretty rough on you. There'd be bumps and rocks and holes that you'd have to cross over. And sometimes you'd drive for an hour, sometimes you'd drive for 2 hours. And even from this little remote camp, because we were fishing different rivers. And the drive itself was grueling. In fact, some of the times halfway through it, you'd think to yourself, why are we going through so much ordeal just to go fishing? Driving through some of these plains, you'd come to a line of trees, and you would, the little trail that we were on would just kind of disappear into these trees, and it looks like there's no way you're going to get through there. And Philipe keeps right on going. You're going, oh my God, we're going to stay stuck here in the jungles and, live here forever. And sure enough, you'd find this little tiny hole and go down, and there'd be a big puddle of water, and the truck would look like it's going to go underwater there, and it would go up to here on the doors, and you'd waddle through this thing, and he'd somehow get it through there and over logs and over everything and come out the other side. And it was just, while the ride in the morning was very grueling and very taxing physically, it was an adventure because, I can't think of many people that would go through that just to go fishing. But once you would get to where you were going, you'd get into this place and you'd look around and you'd swear there'd never been anybody there before. That's how remote it was.
Sobre todo por las luces que hay aquí. Aquí las luces son muy buenas. Los colores cuando...
Sí, los colores. Por eso quería que el sol se... The peacock bass is a fish that lives in rivers and lagoons of Venezuela. And I was under the impression that, you catch, a lot of little ones, and every now and then you might get one about this big, and that's a big one, and, you might get one this big, and that's a great big one. And I really thought they would be like largemouth bass, where you get, a fair bite and you bring them in fairly quick and it's no big deal. But it turned out to be that these things, are more aggressive than some of the saltwater fish I fish for.
Oh, Kitty, este sí está bueno.
Mira eso. Qué vaina. Más arrecho. You go, boy.
Ahí va, pues.
Oye, that's a nice one, Philipe. Mira qué vaina.
Mira, pero mira.
Sí, I know.
Él va a brincar.
Está alando bien.
Y es que él no se va a quedar ahí, él va ahora a alar otra vez.
He's pulling pretty good.
Como de 4 kilos, 3 kilos y pico.
¿Tú crees?
Sí.
Me quedo aquí, Philipe, me voy a quedar aquí. I'm going to wait for you to bring yours in, Philipe, because I am a nice guy. Oye, ¿qué es esto? En los callos tengo que sacar el sábalo para ti y aquí te estoy sacando pavones.
Bueno.
In the keys I'm taking tarpon out for you, and here I'm taking out peacock bass. Oye,
¿Eh?
impresionante.
No, es que no hay pescado que jale como él.
Impresionante.
Y no ha saltado, raro.
¿No?
Pero va a saltar. A lo mejor te la presto después para que...
Thank you so much. Oye, tú eres una mala persona.
Mira, mira.
Óyeme, mira el tamaño de esa cosa, no me digas.
Salte un poquito de aquí. Para que no se meta.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Look at the size of this thing. No way. Felipe, no me digas. Oye, esa cosa es
Eso ve como jala, ¿no?
una belleza. That has gotta be the prettiest fish I've seen in a long time, Felipe. You know, the rooster fish in Costa Rica I thought were beautiful. This thing is unbelievable.
Él es muy violento cuando...
Sí.
Entonces hay que dejarlo, porque si no
Sí.
inclusive hasta la caña te la puede reventar.
Oye, ¿y la agarro por la galla?
Sí.
Mejor, ok. Óyeme, no lo puedo creer. No lo puedo creer. I just can't believe it.
Bueno, si no tuviera la brisa tan fuerte, ahí lo estuviéramos viendo perfecto.
Ajá. Mírame eso. Qué belleza. Oye, es uno grande.
¿Eh? ¿Regular? Vamos a sacar otro.
No me digas regular. No me digas regular, ¿ok?
Ah, bueno.
Este es bueno. Este es un pavón grande. Mira esa cosa, Dios mío. Me cago en la... Mira qué cosa más bella. I am just in awe, Felipe. That is unbelievable. Oh my God, look at that fish. Felipe, esto es la cosa más preciosa.
Mira, se lo traga.
Look at how beautiful this is. Hello.
¿Eh?
Unbelievable. Ay, perfecto. Ay, qué cosa más linda, Felipe.
Precioso, ¿no?
No, I mean, that is just an unbelievably beautiful fish. Let's let him go here.
Señálalo bien de lado para que se vea.
Sí. Goodbye.
Ok. ¿Qué te pareció?
That is just drop dead beautiful.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, the only thing better than that, Felipe, is that I catch one. Philipe Galavis Garcia. Felipe is a Venezuelan gentleman who lives in Caracas, and we've known each other for about 8 years now. He came down to fish with me in Key West. Felipe works in Caracas, Venezuela, but he's also been like a trailblazer in some of these remote areas. He used to fly planes over some of these rivers and some of these places that were, unexplored. You'd see them on a map. You'd see these rivers on a map, and they'd jump in a plane and they'd fly over there. And they'd look for places they could land the plane down. And some of these places were a mile or two from the rivers. And they'd get out of the boat with rods and they'd walk over to the river and take a few casts. And if the fishing was good in that place, they'd pull out a little boat and spend the day there. And if it was really good, they'd pull the tents out of the plane and camp there for a few nights. So this is how he explored a lot of these rivers. So Felipe is, in my opinion, like one of the trailblazers of Venezuela for the peacock bass fishing. Ahí está. Oye, está gigante, Philip. Boy, they just come up to it, Philip, and just nibble at the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mira eso, papo. Mírame eso. Ten cuidado que está pisando la mosca. Quita el pie. Okay, this fish is half yours. Este es mitad tuyo. sí, Felipe. Wow.
Bien casado ese. Muy
Gracias.
bien casado.
Thank you very much.
Ese va a saltar.
Oye, lo dejé que hundí. You know, I let it sink a long
Es que
time.
estaba bien hondo.
Bien hondo, sí, casi en el fondo. Almost all the way on the bottom, Philip. Yay! Man, look at that!
6.
No, no es 6 kilos. We'll see.
Vai up.
Oh
Six
my
up.
God!
6 up.
Oh my God! No way! No way! Great, now you got me all nervous. Me tienen nervioso.
No. Ya.
Oye, Philip, he looks almost deformed. Parece como está deformado.
Sí.
No way. Look at the size of that.
La frente.
See,
Aquí.
a big hump right on the top.
Macho.
Yeah.
¿Sabes? Ya lo que canse o si no.
Oh my God. Philip. Oh my God, no way.
Déjalo que pelee.
Sí, yo- I have no choice.
inútil.
No tengo ninguna respuesta. I tell you, I'm nervous.
Déjame tratar de frenarlo.
Sí, mira, ven.
Ya te lo voy a agarrar.
Óyeme, chico, mírame esta cosa aquí.
Ok, thank you. Perfecto.
Sí. No te preocupes, Philip.
Sí,
If we
sí.
end up in the trees, don't worry about it. It'll be a good place to stop. Oh, God. Tranquilo.
Oh, se me fue.
¡Óyeme! Oye, eso es un pavón. That is a peacock bat. Yeah. Óyeme, qué cosa más gigante. Mételo al agua.
No.
Espérate, aguántalo ahí. Ok. Oye, Felipe, eso es una belleza. Look at this. That is a beautiful, beautiful fish. Thank you, Felipe. I mean, thank you from the bottom of my heart. No, it's something and que no se puede creer how beautiful it is and how big it is for freshwater fish. Oye, cogiste, no, un handshake, no, un abrazo. Gracias, mi amigo. Gracias. One of my favorite forms of fishing is fly fishing, of course, and what was really neat is there were a lot of similarities fishing for peacock bass in Venezuela to fishing snook and redfish in the Everglades. You know, a lot of it was shoreline casting. A lot of it you were just, you're trying to get your lure, your fly into every little nook and cranny. You know, you'd see a log sitting there and you'd throw your fly there, and it's the whole anticipation of the thing. You know, you never know which next little log you come to or next little pocket that you come to where you throw your fly, you're gonna, get blasted or you're gonna get hit. So it's very similar to the Everglades fishing because it's the whole anticipation of the thing. I love topwater bites. So what we would do in the mornings when the fish seem to be up and a little more aggressive is we would fish poppers. And a lot of the poppers kind of look like this, really fairly basic, white, long hook, so you get a little bit body. Those peacock bass like big flies. They really seem to go for the bigger flies. This is another popper here that worked very well. Okay, it has an eye, which the fish seem to like, a very long body shape, and the basic chugger type head, as you can see, and that really drew them up from the depths very well. Now there came a point in the day where those fish seemed to go down a little bit. We weren't getting as many bites on the surface, and Philipe was always telling me about how some of the biggest peacock bass are really very, very deep down near the bottom, actually. And what happens with a lot of the surface things is some of the smaller fish seem to get to the lures before the really biggest fish down deep get a chance to get to them. So I happen to have some flies in my box that we use in the Keys, actually for kingfish and tunas and stuff like that, that are very heavily weighted in the head, and they go down to a lot of depths. And this thing right here accounted for really probably the biggest peacock bass I've ever seen caught on a fly rod. It's very weighted in the head, and it's got big eyes, which are a very good attractor to any fish like that. They like to have a little bulk on the head, and the head's epoxied so that feathers and the hair kind of splay out like that. And when this thing is retrieved in the water, because all the weight's in the head, okay, you strip, and this thing dives down. Strip, and it dives down. Strip, and it dives down. It's a very, very natural action for a bait fish that's injured. This fly right here was the very fly that I caught my biggest fish on. We also caught some fish on clousers. Clousers work very well here, but they gotta be big clousers. Again, you'll catch a lot of peacock bass on little small clousers. Okay. See, there's a small version of that same fly. There's a much larger version. And you'd catch a lot of little fish on this fly, but the bigger fish would always want that bigger bait. It just seems that you could almost pick the size of the fish you wanted to catch. If you wanted to catch little fish, you put on a little fly. If you wanted to catch big fish, you put on a big fly. And again, all the key elements that we need in a fly are there. These were another fly that worked very well, right here. Okay. Has an eye, nice dark shading on top, silver on the sides, white belly, and that fly also worked very well. I really never expected to catch a peacock bass over 10 pounds on fly anyway, and so when that hog that I caught came in, it's like, wow, this is huge, and I thought it was like probably the biggest one he'd ever seen, and he wasn't all that impressed by it. He was very happy, and we kept on fishing later, and he hooks a fish, and he starts giggling, and I couldn't really figure out why he was giggling and laughing.
That fish is half mine, okay? I want you to know.
No, pero...
Oye, that's the same thing that I did to your fish. Es la misma cosa que hice al pescado tuyo allá. That big one. You teased him up for me and I caught him.
No, pero se lo tragó y se vino. Entonces yo lo sentí y se trae poquito a poco, ¿no? Hasta que él se volvió.
Aquí se lo tragó, ¿eh? Y suave. ¿Qué te pasa?
No, que pesa.
Pesa, sí, pesa.
Es bueno.
Oye, si es más grande que el mío.
No.
If it's bigger than mine, okay, para casa.
Nada. Yo casi no lo he visto.
Sí, porque...
Míralo, es bien responsable.
Ay, Dios mío, no, va a ser más grande que el mío. It's gonna be bigger than mine. Oye.
No, es como el tuyo, más o menos.
Sí, como el mío.
Ok.
Oh, ¡ay, chico! Cuídate. Ese es otro gigante. Úyeme, chico. Qué cosa más grande. Qué cosa más grande. No, mira, no. Qué cosa más grande. Es más grande que el mío. It's bigger than mine. Óyeme, ay, Dios mío. Oh my God, Philip. Look at this thing. Whoa! Oh my God. Old Humpy. Ok, mira,
Más de 7 kilos, pero bastante, ¿ves?
agárralo por la otra galla. Porque
Vamos a
te quiero.
quitarle el...
Ok, quítale el fly. Okay. Quédate para el lado. No, aguanta el fly rod. ¿Qué te crees? You better grab the fish with one hand, you grab this fly rod with the other. There you go.
For Philipe, that fish was about 4 or 5 pounds bigger than the biggest peacock bass he'd caught before. The fish that I'd caught, about an hour before him was about the same size as the biggest one he'd ever caught before on fly. And then he beat his own personal best, an hour later. So he was kind of excited about that.
Ok. Ese va a ir ya.
I can't believe I'm holding onto a freshwater fish. Agua dulce de este tamaño. Goodbye, fella.
Goodbye. Aquí está.
Oye, ven acá. ¿Tú eres? Un macho. Un macho.